Okay. Just for the record, just so we understand you completely,
I want you to start from the beginning and tell me as clearly as you can.
what happened with Abigail?
Tell it to me from your side of the story.
Look, I don't know how many times I can tell you what I did before it sinks in.
I'd like you to tell us again.
But why?
Please, Mr. Brookfield, start from the top and tell me again.
You know why I'm here, what I've done. I took something that wasn't mine and destroyed it. Broke it into 1,000 pieces and then dumped it. You don't need to tell me that's not right. I know it ain't.
But we do need to understand why at the time you thought it was.
Fine. It was 4 years ago, maybe 5, when I had the accident at the quarry. Something small had fallen and cracked me head open like an egg. Almost killed me. I should have wore the helmet, but we're on my break. You know, I shouldn't make excuses. When I got hurt, I was taken to hospital, and I was also let go by the quarry for not following health and safety, they said. It took me a while to get back on my feet and start looking for work again. During that time, my wife looked after me. She'd do the shopping and the jobs around the house. It was nice, but she made me feel weak and less of a man. I told her to do the shopping, and I would do the housework. I wanted to throw myself into doing something useful, you know? One day, she came from the market with a pile of things. Too much for her to carry on her own. She shouts me from outside, and I come out, and that's when I see it. Oh, you should have seen it. You should have seen her. She had such a grin on her face. It was like she had just been given that week's lottery numbers early, and she couldn't wait to show me what it were.
Baby, look what I have.
I couldn't believe what she had in those withered old rags.
Do you remember them? Doesn't she look great? My little Ginger thought she'd keep you company.
Do you remember those Charlie Chaser toys? Popular in the 70s. They were wooden cut-out children that you could dress up. We both had them as kids. I threw mine away when I was old enough to. She loved them and wouldn't shut up about it for months whenever she remembered having them. Eventually, she came home with one of the bloody things, and I hated it. I've always tried to be a good man. Always thought of myself as someone who never rose to anger quickly. But God, I couldn't help but get angry whenever I saw it. Its fake smile, its vacant white eyes, its little irritating and whiny voice. I'd forgotten they talked. That little cutesy mocking laugh it does whenever you'd walk past.
Why don't you just tell them?
You don't know how old that got. Drove me up the wall! I've never hated anything as much as I hated that toy.
Stop lying.
I would talk to the wife about it, every now and then. I would talk to her how it moved around the house when I wasn't looking. The talks would always end the same. She would laugh it off, and then when I'd get upset because she wouldn't listen to me, she'd always get hissy with me and slam the door in my face. Oh, she would call me everything under the sun. But all I wanted was that thing out the way, out the house, just so I could sleep.
You couldn't sleep.
No. At night I could hear it. In the other rooms, laughing to itself. It would laugh for hours. Hours and hours and hours and hours. It was persistent, never ending. I couldn't take another night of it.
Was this the night of the 27th?
I don't know. Maybe. I just remember the next morning throwing out some food from the cupboards and then telling the wife to go shopping. She did. not realizing that I just wanted her gone. As soon as she left and I saw the car in the distance, I went looking for it. Like I said, the damn thing kept moving. Sometimes it would be in the dining room, sometimes the kitchen, sometimes in the bloody bathroom. Took me a while. I knew that I'd have to search the whole house for it.
Stop lying.
It knew I was looking for it, you see. It knew what I had planned. Eventually I found it, hiding in a closet. It were hiding from me. I knew it were.
Stop lying. Stop lying.
No one thinks toys could feel fear, but I knew this could. It started weeping, trying to make me feel sorry for it. I didn't feel sorry for it. I just wanted it to stop. It kept weeping and weeping and weeping. It were worse than its laughter. So I asked it to laugh, because I knew it could understand me. I asked it to. Screamed at it to laugh, but it didn't. It didn't dare laugh. I just lost it. I dragged it out of the cupboard and grabbed the little thing by its throat. I don't know why. I just grabbed the little shit's neck and I squeezed hard. I wrung out its little wooden life. I remember yelling and screaming as I did it. You shouldn't have come here. Why don't you move now? I started to bash its little brains in, pushing it to the ground, kicking it, thrashing it. Why don't you laugh now, eh?
Eric.
Sorry. I just... It still gets to me. The laughter. I remember for a moment after, I just stared at it. I felt numb, but the wood felt softer, more fragile. The little painted clothes were all ruffled and out of place. Its dress were torn everywhere. But I didn't remember it wearing a dress. The house were quiet, and I remember feeling like I were free. I were finally alone in the house. I knew she would flip her lid if she saw her little ginger in the state I left it. So I decided to bury it someplace, somewhere out of the way. I grabbed some bags out from the kitchen and quickly cleaned up the mess I made. It took longer than I thought, cleaning up that mess. It was getting dark, and I knew that she would be home soon. So I hurried it with the cleaning and threw it all in the back of the car. I hadn't driven anywhere in months. Couldn't concentrate on anything for long enough. But I wouldn't be going far. There were a place just outside of town. Tiger's Wood.
Outside of Bagworth, right?
Yeah, it was completely black dark when I got there. So I kept the car lights on as I parked, so I could see. I then walked until I could no longer hear the engine running, and started to dig. Took over an hour to dig a hole big enough. I kept reminding myself that I'd be happy when it were gone. But after all that, I could still hear it laughing, in the ground. I hurried back to the car, and panic began to set in. I knew she would be home by now, and I'd forgotten about the shovel in the woods. I wanted to go back and get it, but I was already too late. I left it there near the site. As I pulled up to the house, I saw her by the door. She was screaming. Where is she? Where is she? Where's Abigail? I tried to play it dumb. I asked her who Abigail were, but it backfired. She looked at me in horror. She asked me where I'd been and what I'd been doing. So I told her. I told her everything. The laughing, the woods, everything. She collapsed to the floor, crying and screaming. I didn't understand. I told her about the weeping, but it only made things worse. I didn't think she would react the way she did. Calling you, and I know that you found it in the woods. I guess when she told you, and you went looking, I knew that we'd be having this talk, and I had to face what I had done. But it was just a toy.
Why don't you just tell them? Why don't you just tell them the truth?
The injury, it was causing me to see things, to hear things, things that weren't there, changing things that weren't there.
Look what I have, baby. Look who's come to see you.
Donna knew what were right, and I didn't.
Eric, this is my toy. We're not getting rid of it. Eric, this is our child. We're not abandoning our child.
I didn't attack my wife's Charlie Chase the toy. I had killed my child.
You killed her. You killed our Abigail.
That's it. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you, Eric. You've said enough now. The time is 11:48 a.m. End recorded.